imagine you put even 50% of the time into practicing the presentation as you did into the amount of time you took to try to get the presentation. Like,
Right.
we spend so much time on, and every real estate coach is like, well, we'll show you how to get it.
Yeah.
Show you how to get the opportunity, and then good luck. It's important on both sides.
What's changed in your presentation from when you first started to do a listing presentation to now?
Everything. Well, I didn't used to have one.
There you go.
Just would go in and be like, hey, like, here's the last few sales. Let's highlight some stuff here and see what happens. And I'll say, even the ones that you think are slam dunks, you've worked with them before, your best friend, you think, I don't need to do the presentation. And make it clear to them, like, hey, I know we know each other, but I want to treat you the exact way I would treat anybody else. Like, don't skip over it just because you think it's a done deal. Like, if you walk in, they're like, let's sign the paperwork right now. Fine, sign the paperwork. Don't do the presentation. But some that I know I've lost is because I went in, they just peppered me with questions. We sat there for half an hour. I didn't have the time to go through and be the authority and run the presentation, where I feel like if I had the opportunity to do so, the result would have been different. And I continue to tweak it. Like, I continue to go through and change things, and what placement of things are going to be as I'm going to talk about them. After the page where you talk about what you cost, you should also have a page that shows what your results are, you versus the market, on terms of days on market, percentage over list price, properties actually sold, percentage sold of what you actually take listings, because to back it up immediately and then show them, like, listen, nothing I told you today would matter if it didn't work. Here's what the numbers are telling us. And I mean, listen, comparing to the average agent in Toronto, your numbers should look good. Like,
right.
And if yours don't, your teams do, or your brokerages do, right?
Yeah. And I think that sorry, go ahead, Ray.
I was just gonna say, you said one thing there that I really loved, that I know I made the mistake of a lot early in my career, and that was not giving referrals or friends or family and going through the process the exact same way I did with everyone else. Because you don't end up giving as good a service to the people who expect the best service from you.
Mm-hmm.
And the people you should be giving the best service to, their repeat, their referral, or their family or friends. And B, you'll get into bad habits, because if you've got a business like yourself where all your business is repeat and referral, and that starts happening, then you stop doing the things that created the success. And when you get put back in a situation when you need to do that, you're out of practice.
Yeah. Like, sometimes I really enjoy when a listing presentation really like hit me with questions.
Yeah.
Because it can almost become, it's never too easy, but sometimes it's like you've already won them over. You're just going through the motions here. But I like when I get challenged. Even if I lose, it's okay, because it's like a reminder of, like, this business is not easy. You fall into that trap, you're screwed.
Yeah. Oh, I think one of the things that you mentioned that I wish that I did earlier in my career that would have helped my presentations is constantly collecting and gathering social proof. And so I think that when you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm so dialed in the presentation, you realize, like, I should have more social proof in this thing than I do. And then you're like, I have to spend like 3 days going back to try and figure it out. And so one of my recommendations is, like, when a review is left for you, or somebody sends you a message and was like, thank you so much, like, that was awesome. Or you have a comment on your video or something. Don't let it be a graveyard of just things in the past that someone said about you. Like, literally cultivate a Google Drive folder of all of the things, if only, even if you're not using them right now, as a reminder to you to help you build the confidence, so that when you get to the door, you know that you have those results and that people were, like, thankful of it. But at some point in time, whether you're brand new and you're like, I don't need it right now, you're going to look back and it's going to be like 10 years down the line. And you're like, I wish I had that stat from the first time I did that thing, so that I can really say to future, or to the current version of me, when I'm like, in 10 years, this is how I did it. This was my thing. And this was the feedback that someone gave me at that time.
And I'll give you one little, like, hack here. And Emma, you've seen this, but we have We have questionnaires that go out to our sellers and buyers before we start to work with them. And the first thing is when you send them the email, ask them to fill it out, make sure you say them, this will take you less than 2 minutes, or otherwise they're not going to do it. Make sure they know it's quick. And we have one portion, ask them how they heard about us. So let's say you've got great Google reviews. Let's say you made up market update videos. Let's say you've done the news before, whatever it is, right? You say, how did you hear about us? And it's like, past client, referred by friends or family, Tom's YouTube videos, saw Tom on the news. You saw one of our 100 5-star Google reviews. So they're like, oh wow, maybe I should check that stuff out as well. So they're almost like you're showing off to them without actually saying anything.
Totally.
And then we ask some silly questions like, what's your favorite restaurant? And then when it firms up, they get a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant and they forget they told you. So all these little things build in, and that's how you sustain a business where people just keep coming back.
If you want to watch or listen to the full episode,
check out our YouTube or Spotify channel, and don't forget to subscribe.